Hey everybody, this is Dr. Ogres and welcome to part 14 of my Let's Play EVE Online. Alright, well, I've trained up some new skills, so let's just hit those real quick, and then I want to go over a couple things with you guys. Spaceship Command, battles cruisers up to 2, which means I can now fly the Myrmidon that I've been talking about. Woot! I've trained my small projectile turrets to 5. I'm ready to go for Tech 2 of those. But right now what I'm doing is I'm going to train medium projectiles up to 5 as well, so that I can get Tech 2 variety of that. In the short term though, I'll probably just be using Tech 1 variety of this just to get me rolling. So that's the general idea. So that's been kind of the focus for the last week or so, trying to get those in place, and then we'll be back onto drones as soon as those guns are finished training up. Alright, so I had been debating amongst myself about whether I was going to go battlecruisers or whether I was going to just skip them and go with the Dominics. And I decided the Dominics is so slow. It's a brick. So I already have a hard enough time with like the Vexor, and that's a fairly agile ship. So I decided to go with the Myrmidon just to kind of do that. And then, I mean, honestly, the ISK for firepower that you get out of a battlecruiser versus a battleship is almost always better. You almost always win when on the ISK war when you're in a battlecruiser. It's kind of a weird thing. So, alright, so that's my training on that. And now, just thought maybe I'd go over how I buy ships, how I buy my modules, how I determine my fits, so that you guys could have a general idea of what I do and how I'm thinking about these things when I go into this. So, excuse me. First thing I do is I don't just buy the ship from over here. If you go click browse and you go to, you know, ships, battlecruisers, Cliente. Alright, so I could see, okay, there's a 36 million ISK Myrm. There's a 21.9 million ISK Brutix. I could just click buy and buy this one ship available here and spin the ISK and be ready to go. But what that doesn't show me is it doesn't show me the average ISK price for that ship in the region. Am I getting ripped off? Am I paying too much? You know, if I were in Freecore, which I'm not, and I was looking to buy the exact same ship and I just bought it, that's 300 mil, you know. So I could accidentally buy that, and I think almost everybody in EVE has done that exact thing, where you just click buy, okay, and you look at your wallet and you go, what the heck just happened to all my money? So that's kind of the thing you have to keep an eye out for. Okay, so I could save a little bit of money if I wanted to fly over to Eglahinde. So what I like to do is it's only 5 jumps, but when I look at the route, it's Gel Eglahinde and Egg Hollandaise or whatever, Hollandaise, and Egg Hollandaise is one jump into low sec out of a high sec system, and I'm just, man, the odds of me getting ganked in that system without a fit ship, because I wouldn't have the fit, you know, I wouldn't have my stuff, is pretty good. And I can get pretty much the same price in Gel, which is 4 jumps away. It's only 250,000 ISK more, and for the convenience of not having to try to pull a battlecruiser out of low sec station and you know, being camped in by pirates and good stuff, that's probably worth it. And it's gonna save me 1.25 million ISK just for that small trip. So I'm probably gonna go here and buy this Myrm, and there are 4 in that station, so I don't really have to worry about it right away. I also want to kind of look at the, I will need drones, but I want to look at the guns I'm going to put on it, the armor reppers, turrets and bays, projectiles, autocannons, medium. Alright, so what I'm looking for are dual 180s. Dual 180s are a relatively fast tracking, good damage dealing autocannon, because you see in the medium variety there are three sizes. There's a caliber, and then there's various what we call meta levels of the gun, and those determine fitting requirements, rate of fire, all that kind of stuff. 425s are the biggest. They will do large amounts of damage, but their tracking is not so great, and their range is pretty terrible. Dual 180s are kind of the fastest tracking gun type for the medium autocannons, and then the 220s are kind of the middle of the road. So it would be less damage output, theoretically, better tracking, medium damage output on the 220s, slightly worse tracking, and then heavy damage output with the 425s. Now, the reason you wouldn't necessarily want to go for the 425s instead of the dual 180s is you have to look at a bunch of factors. First off, the fitting requirements. This requires 154 power grid, 140 power grid. Sorry, the T2 variety is a lot more expensive, obviously. 100 power grid on the 220s, and only 80 power grid on the dual 180s. So for what you're getting in terms of firepower and capacity, this is a much better fitting requirement. I'd be much happier with that one. So what I do is I look at the show info on any dual 180. It doesn't matter. Go to the variations tab. Down here at the bottom there's a button that says compare. You pop that open, and this will tell you the difference between the various guns. So what I like to do first and foremost is the rate of fire. Okay, because on guns, how fast they fire will determine how the overall theoretical DPS. Damage modifier, that'll tell you how much damage you're going to be able to do, and it modifies each individual shell type has a specific type of damage. This modifier applies to that damage. Optimal range, how far away you can be. This won't vary that much between the various calibers, but within the meta levels it can make kind of a big difference. So for example, on Meta 4 guns are, generally speaking, almost as good, if not as good, as the Tech 2 gun. Okay, so 2.475, 1920, 1920, 2475, right? Same numbers. All right, let's take a look at the power grid, because this will also vary. So 80 megawatts, 88 megawatts. Okay, so it's got less fitting requirements, all right, and does the same thing as the Tech 2. Why would you ever buy the Tech 2? Okay, so that's a good question. The difference here is you can't use Tech 2 ammo in a T1 gun. So that's problematic. If you want to use barrage, which is darn fine, you do need the dual 180 Tech 2. Okay. The second is going to be cost. The expense of the Meta 4 in general will be much higher than the Tech 2 variety. So we'll view market details real quick. Do that. All right. So these are only for sale in the station, and there's only one available, and they're 4 million ISK per gun. Right. If we look at the Tech 2 variety, view market details. All right, 1 million per gun. See, in Rancer, Rancer is one of those, again, notorious places for people to get blown up. So don't ever go to Rancer if you can avoid it. Solari, that's low sec as well. Foreign Dodixie. So this is 2 million a gun, half the price. It's half the price for the T2 gun. And why is that? Because isn't the T2 better? Because it doesn't require this. It doesn't require the same skills to fit, and it has lower power grid requirements. Those two things are a premium. So when you're looking at it, that premium capacity for that gun is worth to people twice as much money. So, all right. So the Myrmidon is going to need, and those I'll just buy here. So the Myrmidon is going to need Let's just find the Myrmidon again. Pop it up. For fitting on the Myrmidon, it holds 6 turrets. Alright, 6 high slots, 6 turrets. I can put dual 180s on all 6 of those. So I'm going to look for my best bet. I could buy the T2. I can't fit them yet. So what I'm going to look for is Meta 4 is way too expensive. I'm going to look at the Meta 3 and the Meta 2. Stations up, see, if I'm not paying attention. See? 500 million-esque? No, not happening. Meta 3. There we go. 2 million-esque. There's only one available here. So there's not a whole lot in the way of dual 180s over here in this side of the world. I might just go flying out somewhere else to see if I can find a better deal. I will definitely be checking Jita and maybe the Ren's market as well before I make my commitment to purchase. So anyway, I kind of go through that process for every module on the ship. And I look at the ship itself and I look at the description. I determine what I'm going to put on the ship, how I'm going to fit it. Okay, so we look at, all right, the bonuses. Battle skills are battle cruiser skill bonus. 10% increase to drone hit points and damage dealt by drones. Okay, that's good. 7.5% increase to armor repair amount per level. So I'm going to want to active rep this thing because I get a 7.5% increase to that bonus. And I think we already talked about putting 2 or 3 medium armor reppers in the lows. And I have both setups, and I've looked at it, and you can tank a lot with 3 reppers in the bottom. I just don't think it's sustainable when it comes down to it. You have to use so much cargo space for the cap booster charges. Because active reppers consume so much capacitor, you do need a capacitor booster module. Okay, and then the final bonus is 99% reduction in the CPU need of Warfare Link modules. And I'm not going to be fitting one of those. That's a thing for fleet members. If you're running a fleet and you're the boss and you have the right skills, you can put a what we call a gang link or a Warfare Link module in the highs, and it will give bonuses to your squad or wing or fleet, depending on what you're doing. But if I were doing that, I probably wouldn't be flying a Myrm for it. I'd probably look at a command ship, which is a Tech 2 variety of the battle cruisers. So, okay, so that's kind of what I'd look for first. Then I go over to the fitting, and I look at my slots, my slot layout. So I have 6 highs, and we've already discussed those. I'm going to put guns in them. We got 5 mediums, okay, and I think about what I need in those medium slots. I want a propulsion module, probably a micro warp drive. I want, I could shield tank this thing. It doesn't, doesn't get a bonus to armor hit points, but it does get that bonus to armor repping. So I really want to take advantage of that. So that, maybe a web, maybe a point, because if I were running this in PvP, I definitely would want a disruptor or a scrambler. Maybe something, target painter. I can use a drone module in the mid slots, and those are kinds of the optional bits, and that's the code breaker and the analyzer, all that good stuff that I would do there for my exploration. And again, I probably only put 5 turrets in one, but I might just use the co-ops I'm in right now to do the scouting, finding of the sites, then grab the Myrm, jump in and kill stuff. Anyway, and then, but what I really want to think about is when I'm looking at my tank and my low slots, if I put 2 or 3 reppers on this thing, I'm going to want to dedicate at least 1, maybe 2 of these slots to a capacitor booster, a module that I've got it on my Vexor, and so you've probably seen me use it. If I think I don't have the skills for the Tech 2 yet, I'm sure. Yeah, I gotta get energy systems operation up to 4, which is not impossible. It's actually pretty easy to do. But let's look at the module. The heavy ones, we want to look at a few things. Fitting requirements, 40 teraflops, and that's a mess of power grid, so I can't fit a heavy, which, I knew, but you have to kind of look at those things before you buy the modules, because you could wind up with a hangar full of stuff you cannot fit onto your ship. So let's look at a medium. Alright, 165, that's much better. And what I want to do is, if you look at the attributes, I believe it is, you'll find, I think, or is it fitting? Oh, yeah, power grid. It's got 1,175 power grid. Okay, so I want to pick which modules I'm going to put on there based on that. And when I look at this, 165, not that bad. We discussed it was 80 for the guns, and then the armor uppers, and then the armor hardeners as well. And if we look at the attributes on this, look at the armor, 50, 10, 35, 35. Okay, so I'm definitely going to want to get hardeners because my base resists are not great. So I'm probably going to go with 2. And again, so let's look at those slots. 2 of those slots are going to be medium armor repairer 2s. 2 of those slots are going to be adaptive energized nanomembrane 2. Then one of those slots is going to be a damage control 2. And the last one of those slots, I'm probably going to use a gyro stabilizer, which is a modifier for projectile weapons. I really haven't had to use one of those yet because most of my damage is still coming from the drones. When you look at the ship, the drone bay on this thing, it's got 75 megabits per second bandwidth. In the drone bay, there it is, 150 cubic meters of drones. That's a lot of drones. So I'm going to look at a flight of mediums, a flight of lights, maybe some ECM drones once I get skills up for them. And we'll just kind of be able to mix it up and swap drones in and out as necessary. So, but we can only control 75 megabits per second. And if you look at the drones, you can look at, so the baby bed, runes, and we look at medium scout drones. Look at the hammerhead too real quick. The bandwidth is 10 megabits per second. Okay, so the bandwidth really determines how many drones you control. I can field up to 5, so I can have 5 medium drones on the field. I don't think, maybe I could fit 5 heavies, but I don't think so. So that's really kind of the other thing you gotta look at. So when I figure out the fits and I plan on what I'm going to put on the ship, the first thing I actually do is use a program called the Eve Fitting Tool, and I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. And I make my decisions about how I'm going to fit my ship there. And that tool also takes into account my character's skills. I can plug in my API information just like for EveMon, like we discussed earlier on, and it'll tell me what skills I need to train to be able to fit a particular fit, or rather fly a particular fit. And it'll help me make a lot of the decisions about what I change out, what I leave on, especially like on this ship with those mid slots. What do you do with them? What's going to be helpful? Target pair, probably not. I could fit some other kind of UR, right? Maybe a dampener, maybe a tracking disruptor. So there's all kinds of other things I could be putting in there, but that's kind of one of those things you have to think about. So, okay, so I'm gonna go fly and get this hull, and then start buying up the various pieces to get it put together. Then I'm gonna go out, find something to get myself into trouble with, and I will catch you guys here in a little bit. Alright, so we're all fitted out. Here we have the SSF in vertical. Now, just in case you didn't know, vertical ships in Eve are the best ships in Eve. Even if they're not the best ships in Eve. So I've got it fit out for PvP right now, even though I'm just going to go in and kind of run a combat side here in Torby just to kind of knock the dust off of it, see how she handles, all that good stuff. I think it's always a good idea to really, when you have a new ship, a ship you've never actually flown before, to kind of test its capacity. How fast can you go? What's it handle like? Can you turn quick? All that good stuff. Take out that first, I think. Alright, so get the guns going. The guns do a really good job by themselves. It's not too shabby. Let's see, get the drones out. Keeping an eye on my max velocity here on my orbit. So 121, not that great. It's pretty slow. We're going to kick on the after micro aircraft, see what that does for me. Now, whenever you turn on your mark warp drive, it's one of those things you really got to pay attention to. Your ship turns around, goes in a different direction. So you have to be kind of careful with that, especially when you're in PvP combat. Alright, got some drones out. Let's see, they're fighting something. Probably blowing up ships there, blowing up ships. They didn't have time to do anything. Isn't that great? Alright. And I do want to be able to test this tank, so I'm not that worried about focusing my fire right now. Alright, so we're doing 570-ish, and my 500 orbit has pushed me out to 69. It's not that bad. It's still not super fast, but I think it's reasonable for a battlecruiser. If these guys don't get me into armor here, I'm not going to have a chance to... going to have a chance to test my reppers. I did go with the 2 mediums. I'm loading them with 200 charges right now. I might swap that out for 800s later. We'll see. Because it could hit 1 800 charge, basically, per repper, and I can alternate between them. We'll see. Not sure yet. Haven't decided. I am really kind of waiting for this guy to get me into armor. I don't know that it's going to happen, though. Better start shooting me, Miss Batter. Tell you what. Oh, that's good. At least we have more rats out. A couple cruisers, a couple destroyers by the looks of it. And again, this is high sec. It's not really dangerous. I did get a Tech 2 point on my Scrambler, primarily because that'll get me more range. Wrong bird. I'm getting pretty good at that. Alright. And those destroyers are down already. Vertical ships are the best. They really are. Look at it. Look at it. Turning's not great. Agility, I mean, it's okay for a battlecruiser, don't get me wrong. It's not plated up, so I don't have any plate at all on it. Just the reppers. So I don't expect it to be agile by any stretch of the imagination, at least in terms of ships that I've flown before. I'm not expecting it to handle like an interceptor, but knowing what you can get away with is kind of important. Let's go ahead. Pull the drones back for a second. I'll grab aggro. I'm hoping that these guys, like I said, I want to be able to test my tank. Clearly not an issue right now. We got another couple cruisers, another batch of destroyers by the looks of it. Destroyer, destroyer, destroyer. See? There they are. They're not the ghost ships, but you know, it's alright. We'll let it go. We'll let it slide. Okay, let's blow this guy up. I guess I probably should just blow up everybody except for the turrets. Mark Warp is worse for my cap than anything. Not too shabby, I don't think. Oh, I think they're actually going to get me to armor. Maybe. Maybe. I'm going to cut this. Cut that. Get my cap up. Just because I want to be able to see. Alright, see? I'm in armor. One repper going. And I'm going to cycle them so that they're kind of ending their cycles off turn of each other. Pull back 100%. 100%. 100%. I think that's pretty good. Kill one of them, see if I can keep it up with that. So with this much aggro, I can pretty much just rep off of the 1, and I do fine. I think if I were going up against battleships or something like that, I might run it at 2. The rigs I put on here do help with repping, so that's always nice. Let's go ahead and shoot this guy. And then on these ships, my guns are pretty much instant death. How about that? What do you think? You gonna go boom? 2 shots. Kaboom! Alright. Not too shabberini. Not too shabby. So, that's effing vertical. Not too bad, huh? I'm gonna go blow up these structures and see if anything comes out of them. Any loot pinatas? Not the cargo containers. And then I'm probably gonna jump over into Losec, see if we can get into some trouble over there. And I'll catch up with you guys in a minute. Alright, so I found a Serpentis yard here in Mia, and I'm gonna go ahead and run that to see how my tank holds up again. One low 6 status individual in system, but nothing on scan, so I think we're doing okay. I am low on the EMP ammo, so I'll have to watch out for that. But again, I'm just kind of kicking the tires, see how it goes. Alright, and this is just a straight up combat site. Shouldn't be anything too difficult. Cruisers again, Thoraxes. Close range before I'll be even a little bit effective. They do have me aggroed, so I can just go ahead and get the drones on. Out you go, boys. Alright. And they should look exactly the same. And then we get bunkers and a shipyard and lookout. What are you looking out for? What do you see? Did you see me coming? You didn't see nothing. Nothing. See this guy getting blown up? Is that what you're looking at? Yeah, he's getting blown up, alright. Still too far away. Yep. Too far away. And again, I'm kind of conserving cap. Kind of conserving the capacitor. Alright, let's get in on that dude. And scan. Hammerhead 2s are lovely little drones against cruisers, I'll tell you what. Thought about putting a flight of Valkyries in as well. but I decided to get to it last minute. I mean, mostly because I don't want to get blown up and have that much in my drone bay. You know, for the inevitable loss of the ship. I don't know, finding the balance of how much you drop when the people jack you is always interesting. It's like my old PvP instincts is why I don't have enough ammo. I don't really take more ammo than like 3 or 4 loads worth. Once you guys get back in here. Because it's just inefficient. I mean, it doesn't make a whole ton of sense to have that much ammo on you. Fights don't last that long. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting damaged. Now we're getting damaged. And I have all the aggro. Launch the drones. Why don't you take out this dude? And web him. Alright. Starting to hit my tank. One ripper running. And the other ripper running. I could have timed that better. It's alright though. Yeah, look at that. I didn't even need both of them. The range on that one. Let's kill this dude first. Again, I'm not really worried so much about the frigates as I am about the cruiser-sized hulls. Yeah, one ripper's doing fine. And Cap's holding up pretty decently. Alright, let's get in on that. Not being webbed and just slow. I like how they added the drone damage to this stuff. So now I know when my drones are hitting and how much they're doing and whether or not they're being effective, so I can like look at that when I'm on that, and when I get onto the frigates, I can, you know, see if they're being as effective, and I'm going to swap them out for the smaller drones. You know, yeah, it's doing really well. This is a good tank. Just to kind of give you an additional, so when I fit it like this, I also put anti-explosive to sort of seal up this resist hole, nanobot accelerator, and an auxiliary nanopump, both of which increase the effectiveness of my overall, how much damage the ripper reps, and how long it takes the ripper to go through a cycle, both of which are pretty important. It's agile enough though. I mean, without the plate on it, I think it does pretty good. And F1. And the line. I like to approach small ships just because it helps me keep down their transversal. Pull the drones back. This guy. Pull the drones back just because it's a long way over there. Kill that real quick. One pump of cap, please. Each. Again, double check. Alright. I don't even know where he's going. He's flying that way. I'm over here. This guy's coming in for me, right? Yeah, see, they're burning right at me. And then they're not. those going. And start firing. He's in web range. Slow him down. Boom. And launch the drones. You sir are next. This run right now. Trying to get better at that. I'm trying to remember that I have an active tank. It's not like Ron Popeil's magical meat machine or whatever the hell that thing was called. Remember that? Set it and forget it. You ever see those infomercials? Yeah, that's kind of the way I've been running with my reppers, and I'm pretty sure that's not the way to do it. Not if you want to be capped. You don't have any capacitor left for when you need it anyway. Alright, well let's go for that one then. Not hitting it anyway. Not hitting anyway, so let's see, we'll get another round of that. Just to be on the safe side. 97% armor is, I think, a fine place to be. 100% city. It's a darn effective tank. And that's just one repper running. If I get into serious trouble, both reppers should tank a lot of damage. With these in play, I think I'll do pretty good. I do think I am going to swap out for the larger charges, though. Maybe at least 400s. At least the 400s. Pulse that. That's what we call pulsing, is when we run it for just like a brief bit to help get into range, or to help kite something out. To maybe one of these days I'll grab an interceptor and see if I can get it into a dogfight with, and kind of show you guys some of the stuff I like to do with interceptors. They're a lot of fun. I love flying interceptors. If I had one ship in Eve that's my favorite, it would probably be the Stiletto. I love the Stiletto. Love it, love it, love it. Used to like the Claw better, but I've since changed my mind through the years. All right. Again, I'm just going to get in range. I want to get them all on me before I do anything. Just yellow box makes me nervous, you know? Keep an eye on the directional. So anyway, now that I think this is a good ship, and I think that I've got it fit out pretty well, I'll swap out the point for whatever else I may need. But I think now that I have it, what I'm going to wind up doing is looking for another incursion. I looked today, and they're all in low sec or 0-0. This one's out in Great Wildlands. I actually know where this is at. Used to spend some time out there. FVXKD. I'm actually fairly familiar with this whole area. It's kind of weird. Anyway, this whole, I think now that I have it fit out better, I'm going to get set up to fire, or use rather, sorry, some logistics drones, and get another fleet kind of going for that, and kind of bully my way back into a wormhole at some point in time. Because I think now I've got the ships kind of set up for some of the heavier duty content that I'll be able to actually get in there and be much more effective with them. I don't expect to be, you know, invincible dude or anything, but I'm pretty sure I can, you know, maybe last more than 3 or, I don't know. I don't know, that Drake was tanked heavy, and you saw how fast that went down, right? Alright. Alright. They're talking about sporks. Center for Advanced Studies is a very weird group of people. I'm actually thinking about, I don't mind it, but especially in things like this, when I go out and I do the combat sites and I get bounties or whatever, I get taxed by the Center for Advanced Studies, which is kind of annoying, but it's actually nice because I can't get war decked, so I can't just be randomly griefed by people, which is good. If I'm in high sec, nobody can just jump me or deck me and jump me, but I think once I get ready to, and that's going to happen real soon as well, and I've been talking about it a bit, and I'm thinking I'm just going to maybe just bite the bullet and do it. I'm thinking of Venal, and just getting out there and doing some barista stuff and see how that goes. Primarily because I think there'll be a lot of fun to be out there. It will be a huge pain to get ships in and out, though. That I know. I'm still mulling it over, but that's kind of where I'm leaning right now. But once I get out there, like I was saying, I will probably just start up my own corporation, and I'll be just a one-man corp, sort of an attack shelter. Because I get 11% of every bounty or anything that I collect goes to the Center for Advanced Studies, which is an NPC corp. And they do that specifically to encourage people to go out and find other corps. And I agree. You need to find a corp. You need to find a decent corporation. Half of what makes EVE kind of bearable, I make it sound terrible, what makes EVE fun, let's put it that way, is finding a good group of people to fly with and kind of doing that thing. If my main, my corp is freaking awesome. I love those guys, and I probably wouldn't have stuck with EVE as long as I have if it hadn't been for that corporation. So I would say definitely get yourself into a decent corporation, and if that 11% tax you were paying to your newbie corp is incentive to get you out, then awesome, you know, good. I'm glad they have it in there. And you can always, you know, if you really just don't want to fly with other people, which I don't understand, but if you don't, you can always form your own corporation as sort of a tax shelter, and I may do that with Doc here eventually. But again, I do like not being able to be war decked right now. But so anyway, all right, I'm going to clean up this site. And I didn't find anything else in the system, but I'm going to take this loot and get it back to Torvey, then grab my scanning ship, go check Gerper. But if I don't find anything there, I'm going to pretty much call it for tonight. I've got some other stuff I got to take care of on my main, but I've had a good time. So hope you guys are enjoying the videos again, and I'm looking to get my next sightseeing trip planned out and try to figure out where I was going. Oh man, that's right. Somebody said my route should have been shorter. Settings. See. Okay. If you hit your map and you go to the autopilot tab in settings, I've got prefer safer for some reason, which means that I'm avoiding a whole mess of low sec systems when I don't have to. Prefer shorter. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. Alright. Why do I have Jita? Oh, you must have picked it up from my other. I don't like going to Jita. It's... At one point in time, there was so much lag in Jita. It was ridiculous. And I just... Yeah. So at one point in time, early on, I decided I'm never going to Jita ever again. So, okay, anyway, like I said, I'm going to clean this up, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. And if I don't see you again today, thanks for watching, and subscribe and comment and all that good stuff, and we'll see you soon. Bye.